About Ardgillan Castle. Although referred to as a castle, the residence at Ardgillan is a large country-styled house with castellated embellishments. Originally named Prospect House, the central section was built in 1738 by Robert Taylor, with the west and east wings added in the late 1800s. Initially, the site was heavily wooded, the name Ardgillan being derived from the Irish Ard Choill meaning high wood. It was cleared out by service soldiers and itinerant workers in return for 1 penny a day, sleeping accommodation, and 1 meal. The house consists of 2 stories over a basement which extends out under the lawns on the southern side of the building. When occupied, the ground and first floors were the living accommodations while the west and east wings were servants' quarters and estate offices. The basement comprised of the service floor, the kitchen, and stores. The castle has now been restored and the ground floor rooms and kitchens are open to visitors for guided tours. The history of the Taylor family at Ardgillan is an interesting one. The site at Ardgillan was first used as a home when Robert Taylor built Prospect House on Mount Prospect in 1738. His grandfather was Thomas Taylor, whose grandfather was Thomas Taylor, who first came to Ireland to work with the Irish Commission on a survey and valuation of land confiscated following Cromwell's campaign in Ireland. He worked as the chief examiner on what became known as the Down Survey of Ireland and subsequently set up home in Headford House in Kells. With the addition of the Ardgillan property, the Taylors occupied much land and stature in Ireland during this time. Thomas Taylor, born in 1631, to a landed family in Sussex, England, was a professional surveyor and worked alongside Sir William Petty on the survey. Thomas married Anne Axtell in 1658 and in 1660 sold his estate in Sussex and moved to Ireland. Capitalizing on the situation in Ireland, Thomas was able to buy up over 21,000 acres of land in County Meath. His son Thomas elevated that family status and was created a baronet of Ireland. It was his son Robert who built the house at Ardgillan. Robert was a recluse and spent much of his time writing sermons. The 1800s saw a renaissance at the house. Reverend Edward Taylor and his wife Marianne St. Ledger set up home in Ardgillan in 1807. It was during this time that Ardgillan Castle came into existence, with the house becoming castellated and extended. The family were part of the social elite in the area, often dining with the Cobbs of Newbridge House, the Talbots of Malahide Castle, and the Hamiltons at Hampton Hall. The family took part in the social traditions of the day, enjoying society balls in both Ardgillan Castle and neighboring homes, and also taking part in the custom of going on the Grand Tour of Europe. Ardgillan Castle really came to life during this period when the house became a hive of activity. The Taylors continued to inhabit Ardgillan Castle up until 1962, when the last branch of the Taylor family that lived here sold the house to a German industrialist, Heinrich Pott. Basil Richard Taylor and his wife Gwen had come to Ardgillan in 1939 from Singapore. Their time at the house was short-lived as the estate became too much of a financial burden to the family, compelling them to sell the estate and house in 1962. The house was purchased by Dublin County Council in 1981, and is now under the ownership of Fingal County Council. Oliver Cromwell was an English military and political leader and infamously, Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland. Cromwell was born into the gentry of England in 1599. His early life didn't court such notoriety. It wasn't until the 1640s, when Cromwell changed religion and became more outspoken of those who opposed his views, that he became known. Cromwell is renowned for the role he played in the English campaign in Ireland in 1649-53. Cromwell's forces defeated the Confederate and Royalist coalition, bringing to an end the Irish-Confederate Wars. The 17th century was a time of much unrest in Ireland. The 9 Years' War had had a lasting effect on Ireland, with the Irish natives losing much of their land to the Protestant English. This feeling of unrest culminated in the 1641 rebellion, which took place in Ulster and killed thousands. This event sparked a civil war in Ireland and also ignited the civil wars in England and Scotland. The 11 Years' War ensued, with the Irish Catholics siding with King Charles I against his opponents in England and Scotland. The Irish Catholics briefly gained the majority control in Ireland, running their own state from 1640-49, the Confederate Catholic Association. This all ended in 1649 when Cromwell landed in Ireland with his new model army under orders from the English Parliament to bring order to Ireland. The war in Ireland had become violent, with the Catholic Irish fighting to retain or reclaim their lands. Cromwell's campaign was brutal but swift. He defeated the coalition which finalized the English colonization of Ireland. The subsequent laws were seen as severe on the Irish. The Act of Settlement was harsh on the natives with strict regulations on land ownership, tenancy, and religion. The Cromwellian plantation brought an end to Irish land ownership in the East, with the Irish removed from their lands and in some cases as an alternative being granted land in the West. The victory by the English Commonwealth led to a drive in Ireland to transfer land from the Irish Catholics to the English Protestants. In order to effectively complete this, the land needed to be surveyed and mapped. This led to the Crown commissioning Sir William Petty to undertake a survey of the lands of Ireland. The Down Survey of Ireland was taken in 1656-58 and was the first ever detailed land survey that was completed on a national scale in the world. The survey mapped down the lands of Ireland, which is where its name is derived from. It measured the lands of Ireland and in particular the land that was forfeited by the Irish Catholics in order to facilitate its redistribution. Thomas Taylor was employed on this survey as chief examiner, and so began the tailor's time in Ireland.